Hello, it's me, Marty. I'm here to talk to you about rheumatoid arthritis. 50 to 70% of people with rheumatoid arthritis end up with heart conditions. Heart failure, heart attack, stroke, all kinds of good stuff. But if it's 50 to 70%, I'll say 50, then 50% don't end up with heart conditions. I started rheumatoid arthritis with a heart condition, very, very mild. I had rheumatic fever as a baby. Rheumatic fever is not related to rheumatoid arthritis. The rheuma part just means heart and joints are involved, I think. But I had that as a baby. I was 18 months old, and the outcome of it was I ended up with a heart murmur. And that heart murmur continues to this day. You can't hear it when I'm sitting up straight. I have to be laying on one side. I can't remember which side. You'd think at 67, I know which side to lay on to hear the heart murmur. I'll try it out tonight when I get home with my stethoscope and see if I can hear the squish. It's kind of a creaky squish sound. So I have a heart murmur. Nothing, no big deal. They did a bubble test to make sure there were no holes in my heart. I don't have one. I have a very mildly leaky valve or valves. Very, very, very mild. And the doctor chooses not even to address that because it's that minimal, which I'm fine with. And I have cholesterol, inherited high cholesterol. So I take a statin drug for that, and it keeps it under control. On Easter Sunday, I felt bad. My legs felt wobbly. I felt weak. It felt like I hadn't eaten enough protein. So I upped my protein. I don't eat sweets, so that wasn't a problem. So it wasn't a response to eating too many sweets, because I had none. But I upped my protein, and oh, here comes the mailman. I've got a letter to send to him. I upped my protein and still felt kind of crappy, and I just thought, well, it's Easter. I didn't want to wake up this morning, whatever. And went on my merry way, did everything I needed to do. I'm the cook of the house. Hi, Mr. Mailman. I forgot to put that in my box, so I decided to take a walk. Oh. Thank you. Look how far I walked. Thank you. You too. It's Monday morning. I still felt crummy. I had 2 boiled eggs. They were pretty instead of 1. I'm a short person. I'm only 5'1", so 1 egg suffices for me usually. However, I had to, and I'm glad I did. Ooh, look at the moss. Isn't that pretty? I love moss. Hi. This is a great day to look at some things. Here's some pretty flowers. Let's see if we can see them. Right there. Aren't those gorgeous? Yep. There they are. So I had an extra egg with my breakfast, and really didn't do the trick. But we had errands to run. So we went on our errands. It was still morning. I mentioned to my husband that it felt like I couldn't catch my breath, and my legs felt wobbly, and he's like, maybe you need to eat some protein. That's our cure for everything, I guess. I've been on Weight Watchers for a very long time. And so I'm pretty familiar with what I'm eating. I track what I eat, so I know exactly what I need to run my body. And it was odd that I felt weird, but okay. We went to a place on our errand where we had to stand in a little line, and I didn't feel good. So I went and found a chair, which is an unusual thing for me to do, left my husband in the line. So from there, we went back in the car. The sun was just as bright as it is today, and I was able to see the spots on my fingers real clear. So I decided I was going to check out those 2 last spots I probably would ever have on my fingers. Yay! And thought for sure those would be the last spots because I'm on Rituxan and it addresses vasculitis and rheumatoid arthritis. However, when I looked down at those last spots that had since peeled off, I didn't even notice they'd peeled off. There were 4 brand new spots. The spots come out as little, like heads of pins, or a little bigger, maybe twice the size of a head of a pin. Not the point, but the ball. And they're usually in the corners of my fingers, right there and there, or above my moon on my nail. Just a whole brown thing right above the nail on the skin. And when those pop up, well, it's uncomfortable. It hurts because vasculitis is the inflammation of the blood vessels. So it's uncomfortable. My fingers were a little itchy and tingly and burny, which was something's coming up. But I just chose to ignore it because I was busy and Easter and whatever. And I don't focus on pain or what's going on in my body that much, especially if it's going to be something negative. When I think about negativity and people saying, oh, the glass is half full. Oh, no, the glass is half empty. My glass is refillable. You can always fill it back up. Yours too. So, 4 new spots. When they start, they're a little brownish red, and they look like they're deep under your skin, like a blood blister. You've pinched your finger in something and gotten a blood blister before. You know how it burns when you get a blood blister if you bump your hand and you break a vessel underneath your skin? That's what it feels like to get the vasculitis when it first starts up. After a day or two, the reddish brown turns to a darker brown and a deeper brown and finally kind of a blackish brown. And as it darkens, it raises up and then it's finally immediately under your skin. It looks like a little scab from maybe an ant bite or a bug bite. You know, a little brown scab, but it's not scabby, it's smooth because your skin is over top of it. And then you look down one day and it's just gone. It's found its way out and peeled off. And left behind is a little teeny circle. Oh, look, I've got one right. See that little circle in the middle of my finger? Yep. So that's where one was. I looked down at my hands and there were 4. I was so distressed. I zipped off a letter to my rheumatologist saying, here are pictures of the 4 new ones I have. Just wanted to keep you up to date. This is the date they appeared today, and I'm very disappointed. And he wrote back something very kind, like, thank you for keeping me up to date on what's going on with your body. You're great. Appreciate it. I'm disappointed for you. I love him. So I noticed that my heart was beating harder. My legs felt like jello. I couldn't breathe very well. And I just didn't feel well. So, isn't that a gorgeous tree? Yeah, I gotta stop for a second. I mentioned it to my husband in the car and he said, maybe you're having a panic attack. I don't have panic attacks. I'm like the calmest person I know. Nothing seems to bother me. However, that did. So maybe it was a panic attack, but I went home, took my blood pressure. My blood pressure is naturally low. It's usually about 116/60 or 65. And that day, April 1st, the day after Easter, it was the highest it had ever been in my entire life, which was alarming. But those of you that are watching that have high blood pressure would probably pay for that blood pressure reading, and it was 138/88. And my heart rate had gone up to 88. So my heart rate's usually 65 or 70. So that was alarming. I told my husband, he's like, why don't you call the cardiologist and see what he thinks? I tried to take not EKG, whatever it is on your watch where you hold your finger on it and it takes your ECG. I tried to take an ECG on my watch and it kept saying, failure, stay still. But I was saying super still, but my heart was beating really hard. And so it was like with my watch. So I couldn't stay still because my heart was beating so hard. Not fast, just hard. My husband put me in the car and took me up to the cardiologist's office, which there's one nearby, not my cardiologist, but his group. So I saw someone. They saw me immediately. They did an EKG or ECG. I don't know the difference. Are they the same thing? They put stickers on my chest and looked at bzz, 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 bzz. Yeah, they did that. They checked my heart rate. They looked at my medicine list and said, that's confusing. You look pretty good. Your blood pressure's great. It's 128/80. It's like, that's high. My blood pressure is usually 116/60. Go look at my history. There's like, still, it's not a dangerous rate, so go for it. So in the meantime, they had a powwow and decided I should go to the hospital for observation and testing. So I was driven to the hospital, my husband, and they checked me in for observation and testing and started testing right away. I had some x-rays with nuclear stuff put in it that could, I don't know what they did. They x-rayed my lungs and my heart, and they did a sonogram of my heart, and they put me in like a cat thing and with some radio stuff in it. And guess what? It was fine. So then they decided to do more tests. And I ended up being there for 3 days. I had the blood test to make sure I did not have a heart attack, which I did not. I had tons of blood tests, which came out pretty good. Of course, some were real high and some were real low because of the Rituxan, changes your normal blood stuff. But that was expected. Kidneys were good. They did a thyroid test. That was good. They did urinalysis. They did everything. All my tests came out good. They did 1 billion tests. The more the merrier. Let's charge my insurance company pretty much. So 3 days of tests, and I was sent home. And a week later, I went and saw my cardiologist. And he said, guess what? You're great. It's like, well, why was I in the hospital for 3 days and what was happening? He goes, no idea. But it's gone now. So if it happens again, yay. In the meantime, back up, I digress. I had a Holter monitor on my chest for a week. It was supposed to be 2 weeks, but when I saw him, he looked at my results, and I had to push it 3 different times, and all 3 times was for pounding heart. And he looked at it, he goes, yeah, your heart was pounding, but your heart rate was great, and it shows here that you missed a beat here and there, but you're all right. It's like, well, what about the leaky valves and all the other stuff that the hospital had written about? He goes, don't worry about it. It's not something to worry about. It's minimal. Great. So what do? He says, well, you have something called strong heart, and there is a medical name for it. And what it means is, stop it in the shade because it's so nice. What it means is my heart beats really hard, but not really fast. It beats a normal rate, but just really hard. So I can feel it beating in my chest. I can feel it in my ears, in my eyes, and my hand jumps with each heartbeat. Sometimes when it's happening, but it doesn't happen all the time. He said that he could give me beta blockers for it, but my resting heart rate is great. So beta blockers wouldn't be something I should take. So we're just going to leave it alone. He's going to watch it. If it gets out of control, it can make me have stiff heart walls. It'll make my heart stiff. It sounds like we're talking about my mother. My mother had stiff heart walls. She had leaky valves, but her stuff was so out of control. And she was so old. And he promised me that he's going to keep me healthy and not let it get to that. So I'm very happy to hear that. So here I am, taking a walk, a little out of breath. My arm is tired, so I'm holding this phone up. And I'm just trying to keep healthy. He said, continue as I did. So I do yoga. I'm going to find some calming techniques so next time I feel like I can't breathe, maybe it's a panic attack. I have a sister, I have two sisters. One of them has panic attacks. Rarely, but she's had a few. And she said it sounded a lot like it. So perhaps I was distressed about the spots on my hand and it gave me a panic attack. But I mentioned to the doctor that this was coming for a few days. So how could that be? And he said, sometimes they just build up. So, I don't know. That's where I am. I've been to the doctor, I've been to the hospital, I've seen my rheumatologist, I've seen everybody, and I'm pretty happy with the outcome of those tests because I certainly wouldn't want things to be terrible heart situations. I'm going to continue my walk. I've got about 20 more minutes and I'm panting and I don't think you want to hear it. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. So y'all have a great day. Don't let your disability define who you are. I'm not letting my disability define who I am. I have disabilities and it doesn't define me. I'm Marty. I'm happy. I'm positive. I feel good. And I'll see you later. Bye.